Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's a very special episode. We have Blake Lappan on the line. He's founder of NoDwell Inc. and Spot On Logistics. Blake, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam, very much for having me. How are you?
All right, man. I'm excited. I was talking to you kind of in the warm up, and I said, man, I just do not look at trucks on the road the same. After talking to you and getting prepared for this interview, I'm like, there's opportunity cost, there's money being lost, there's ways to earn revenue. So we'll get into that and more. But before we do, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Blake, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Blake, what mission matters to you?
Wow, serving. I think the overall concept of serving through business is obviously my best conduit for that. But that's always been the mission, is the human first kind of, not in a don't automate or automate human first, but where the humans are, like make it about that, make it matter to them, make them win with the wins. Those types of things is probably my overall mission, and turning around and helping the next one in line.
That's great. Love bringing mission-based individuals out here to share how they do what they do, what they're doing, and really what we can all learn from that, so we grow together. So great having you on. And just to get us kicked off here, entrepreneurship, like give us your background. Like, where'd all that start for you?
Oh man, probably when I was about 10 years old and I wanted a new bicycle, and Dad was like, bro, just got one for Christmas last year. You're probably not going to get a new, but if you want one, old lady Myrtle next door, you could go rake her leaves and see if she'll give you some money. And if you do that enough times, you'll get a bike. I don't think he was intending to teach me what he taught me right there.
Yeah.
But I began to do that. And so what I didn't know also is that I was learning how to exchange value for money, right? Is do something valuable. And then I learned how to exchange good value for money. You rake every leaf, or you rake most of the leaves. Right? You're before you go collect the money, are you going to pick up the one that dropped before you walk up to the door, or are you leaving 10 of them around and acting like that's nature?
Yeah.
Because both are fairly acceptable, but which way are you going to do it? And I got good feedback on doing it grabbing that leaf, if you will. So I kind of learned early in that game. So when I was 12 or so, I had probably 10 or 15 yards in the neighborhood.
Nice. So you were scaling the early tree raking business or leaf raking business, yeah?
Yeah. The 10-year-old one was probably, I never bought a bike as a 10-year-old. I think I was a little too distracted with friends and riding bikes, the bike I had, I guess.
Yeah.
But it still instilled in me and gave me a little bit of confidence on like how that works, because that's certainly not something school's necessarily going to teach you. So I was lucky there that he gave me that advice on I'm just not trying to buy a bike basis. Because he wasn't an entrepreneur, right? So then once I learned I could do it, that kind of became the default. But then, high school, distractions, sports, worked at a grocery store for a little bit kind of thing, and kind of did that age range thing as more of an employee or, side hand for a construction guy. I learned a lot of trades, just kind of running around helping bricklayers and all that. Yeah. But always had the spirit of do it myself. And during that time, always had about 15 yards I mowed as a side hustle, right? Never scaled that, but just did those. But again, I scaled when I was younger, but I didn't understand scale. I didn't look at it like that, right? And I wasn't really looking at the lawn thing as something I wanted to keep doing or have people to do.
So take me to like adulthood. Like, so when do you kind of realize, or did you realize even back then, maybe you realized that you had that itch or that you were going to be an entrepreneur? Like when did that set in?
Yeah, I'd say in that late time frame, late high school, I started doing landscaping on the side with the mowing, little mini projects or big projects, and just kind of shocked myself at what I could do, even though I didn't know how to do it. I just took the job and figured it out, and then got into trucking because I was in my junior year of college, second semester, and dropped out to be a truck driver.
Really?
Yeah, excuse me.
Hold on. What did everybody say around you when you did that? I'm curious. Friends, family, what happened there? Tell me.
So mostly confusion, but support, a hesitant support. But my And it's like, what in the world, right?
Yeah.
But I learned early that transparency is king. If you're gonna do something crazy, like give a why if it matters to people and whatnot, right? And
Right.
I just kind of explained to him, I don't know what to pick. It's time to pick. It's second semester junior year. I got to pick a thing. I just want to go do. And but the truth is, I got in a little bit of debt, and so I needed to go pay off that debt. I was like, maybe I can come back to college, but I kind of knew I wouldn't. So I went out.
Yeah.
I leased a semi with a company, so it makes you an independent contractor owner.
Before we get into that, what gave you the idea? Like,
To get into trucking.
because that's kind of random. You're like in
It is
school,
random.
this,
Sorry,
that, like,
yeah.
how was it? I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna go drive a truck. Forget
Yes.
this. Like, I need to, you got to stay in that a little bit longer for me, man.
I got you. Thank you for pulling me back. I'd always been fascinated by it for no apparent reason, from anything from Matchbox car toys, to just looking at them on the road, having them honk for me as a kid. Just had this fascination. Where I was going to college, Springfield, Missouri, has many, many trucking companies, including a very large carrier for refrigerated freight. And I just went to them out of curiosity what it'd be like, because I heard that truck drivers could make good money.
Yeah.
Right now, so
just random conversations or otherwise, you're like, yeah, truck drivers make good money, and you're like, let me go research that. Or go ahead.
Kind of, yeah, because that was like 80s, 90s, 80s money. Yeah, that was true, and then it wasn't now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kind of went and researched it, did some math on how long it would take me to pay off what I owed, and said, okay, I'm gonna do a year and a little bit and go out there and see the country, and force myself to stop and like go places whenever I have to over layovers and stuff, or too much time on a load. Don't complain about it. Just go do something fun. So live, save money, buy a house, that kind of thing. And then I did that, came back, tried to do a sales job. Didn't do good at it, but
how long were you on the road then? For
that 1 year, I did the 1 year plan.
Oh, so you finished your year. Yeah. Okay, got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, then I bought a house.
What was that year like? Just being out on the road and all that? Like,
oh man, so many stories.
Because that's like the first time. So you're like, you're green.
Yeah. So I can tell you, there's so many stories.
And you're young. Give me one, man. Give me one. And you're young.
I was really excited about being able to see the U.S. The U.S. felt so large, right? Like it's just impossibly large, and so I was excited to see that. I was really excited to operate the vehicle, the challenge of backing that giant trailer. I was like, I couldn't. So I was excited about that in the early days. But learning how the industry worked. It was day 6, and day 6 is end up going to be a title of a book, I think, because my 6th day in, I experienced what we'll call, and later in the conversation, the drop and hook. And it's just basically a wildly more efficient way to pick up and deliver freight, where you're not waiting on a forklift operator, you're just changing trailers. And I was like, what is this? I did not, because I didn't know. I actually knew nothing about the industry, right? I was very, very green. I was still with my instructor. I didn't have a CDL yet. I just had the permit. I was 6 days in. I was like, what do you mean we give them our trailer? This isn't always our trailer, right? This isn't the one we always bring everywhere, all the time. And so I learned, I'm like, look, I don't claim to be real smart. I really don't.
Yeah.
Logic. Like, why is this not everywhere? This seems like the thing. Because just yesterday, we waited 4 hours for somebody to load this truck. And today we just unhooked and hooked a trailer in 16 minutes.
Wow.
It's like, hello. Why is this not? This is embarrassingly, I shouldn't say it out loud, but this is 2004 that I make this realization. It took me this long to get to this point of actually doing something with it. But I was really curious about that. And then from then on, as a truck driver, I'm asking dispatch when they give me a load, I'm like, D&H, drop and hook? Is it drop and hook? I don't really want it if it's not drop and hook, right? I want to go. So, I did that year. I got the house, came back, did the sales thing 6 months, did another job 6 months, and got the itch again to get another truck and say, you know what, I'm just going to go back out there for 2 more years. And I did some more math and just trying to find a way to raise my own capital.
Yeah.
Moral to the story, I didn't understand how money worked. I didn't understand how capital worked. I didn't understand investment. I understood, compounding interest in the stock market type of things. I did not understand the grand scope. Or I could have blasted. I had the knowledge and the will and the desire to blast off back then. So here I am thinking, I'll do another 2-year tour to raise some money to start doing something.
Yeah.
Right? 2 years turns into 5.5 or so.
Yeah.
Partly because I got distracted with a girlfriend who came on the truck, and we had a blast for like a year and a little bit. But other parts just because I just wasn't managing money. That was kind of a really dumb way for me to, a social person like myself, to go out and try to earn my way into something.
Yeah.
So the blessing that kind of came into my lap that many founders have, the turning point, if you will, is a simple conversation from reconnecting on social media back in 2011 with an old friend from high school who was working as a traffic officer at a shipper, at a warehouse, and talking about it's inside a cave, and so it's very difficult, tight quarters. If you hit something, you're really going to tear stuff up because it's rock walls, very unusual place to pick up and deliver freight. And she's like, the drivers get scared, they hold up, they take forever to drive back there because they're scared to death. And I said, well, why don't you have one of these trucks? These trucks I've learned that create this switch trailer situation, this drop and hook.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, we don't. And anyway, we get to I'm like, you know what? I'm living in Savannah, Georgia at the time. And I say, I'm going to it's Kansas City. I'm going to move there. And I'm going to rent one of those trucks. And do you think if I made like an ice cream stand that people just pay me out of their pocket to just not have to go in there because it's miserable?
Yeah.
She's like, absolutely. She goes, the people do it right now, but the truck that's in the back of the cave, they're doing their regular stuff most of the time. They're not available. Just come in and do that favor. But when they are available, people love it, and people pay like $75. I'm like, $75? How many trucks come in out there? She's like, I have 40 to 80.
Wow.
Oh, I'm gonna fly up there and check this out and hang out with you for a couple of days and watch how this goes. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's my vision of this drop and hook needs to be more places. Was like, oh, here's a place that doesn't even understand how this works, that I could just implement it, and then teach them. So I go there, do the thing. Regular carriers that come in there all the time, their drivers start using me all the time. And they are paying me under a thing called a lumper. And a lumper is something that's common in the refrigerated freight industry, but it's for unloading freight, for taking a pallet of like 500 different flavors of yogurt and making a pallet for each flavor. So making 500 pallets, that's a way big example. So make of 10 different flavors, right? And make 10 different pallets. They're lumping the freight. So there's a charge for that. And the drivers pay it with a check. They were calling me a lumper. I'm not a lumper.
Yeah.
So integrity issue, because I'm dealing with these mega carriers that I need relationships with.
Yeah.
Like, so I just reach out to them. Again, I'm not business savvy enough to know like salesy stuff and how to get like, I'm just trying to figure this thing out, this one spot. And I call them and say, hey, give me some extra trailers, and this will be a drop and hook. Your drivers are paying for me anyway. I'll give you a $10 discount. If you just make a monthly account, I'll just charge you, and we'll make this flawless and just make it a mandatory thing for you. Every load you haul out of here, I put in there for you. And it worked for like 4 or 5 different carriers. So then it became ARR. So then it became hire somebody, because now I can trust the money instead of lemonade stand, right? And that took a couple of years, but a year into that, somebody came in to acquire that place, and that was a big blessing for me too, because these are guys doing like $10-12 million in business at the time they were acquiring, and they were making an acquisition bigger than what they were doing in that place. So all the people were on the ground that were running the $12 million place. And oh man, I got to know all these executives and understand how they were thinking. And they were, I learned so much in this experience, but I also got to teach them as they didn't do this kind of business. They did warehousing, but parcel, small package, pick, pack, ship type business. This is more truckload, palletized business. I got to teach them how this transportation situation works. So them and I built a what we call a traffic management system for checking trucks in, telling if it's drop, if they're unhooking the trailer, if they're not, if they're going to come in by themselves, if I'm bringing them in, they set up all this stuff. We built all this stuff. So that was a really cool experience too, right? Is to watch all that happen. I didn't do any coding, but I did the advising, and they were so grateful for that. And so that created a really good relationship. And then there's trucking stuff coming out of there that people aren't serving. I'm dropping these trailers, and one of my customers isn't picking up the freight. So I'm calling the customer saying, hey, did you forget? Oh, we just don't have time. We're going to get to it when we can. So I end up calling the client saying, do you need somebody else to do this? And maybe we'll do it. And so I got a little trucking business. Here's why I went wrong. Here's where I went wrong. I told myself when I got off the road, and this is where niching, like getting into a niche or niche as much as you can, is really important, I feel. I do feel like that is the game of most of the wildly successful people in their vertical. And I told myself, I'm not going to do engines on the road ever again. I'm just going to do these yard services where the truck just moves it to a dock door into a parking lot, to a dock door into a parking lot. Just get those and do them everywhere. No trucks on the road, unless they need, the place I'm doing that for just needs a truck to take it to their other place over here across the city.
Yeah.
We'll do that type of stuff, but not like all the places. And I was modeling that off of a company I was looking up to. And so I thought they had a good model, and I was like, I want to try that. Well, I got a little sidetracked with this trucking thing, right? Because it starts to work. And, again, a lot of lessons in this story. The details are good in Lessonville. I got into it, and I used freight brokers to get the trucks running and get drivers hired and get, regularity going. And then I was going to go sell a regular business to someone. Well, I stayed distracted from selling regular business to someone because I'd never done anything with business, and this thing was growing fast. So it grew like 3,000% in 3 years, roughly.
Wow.
And that was in relative terms, just because 3,000 is such a wild number. I want to
Sure.
In relative, it's a 100,000 to 4.2 or 4.3 million dollars in 3 years or so. So it's not like hyperscale, but it's, for somebody who's never done it, it was a
right.
And I rented trucks. I tried to make it as agile as I could. So if I failed on something, I just turn trucks in. The capital goes off my books. But then
you weren't used to managing that type of cash flow, for sure.
Not a chance. Do you know that when I first got in,
like for the modeling, for all that stuff, like that's a big,
modeling, we're just going. And we have a P&L, but it's and we have bank balance accounting, which is the dangerous thing that I was doing for a little bit in the early days, right? But nowadays, like, technology is so good that you don't have to even make this gamble, because it can do it all for you. But in this, this is just what carves you. Is early days, I'm looking at my P&L and I'm assuming that the loan payment's there. The loan payment, the interest, it's not sitting there. This is not a cash thing. This is a real flow thing that I did not understand. So again, like, learning how money works in a whole nother aspect during this process, and kind of being forced to, and taking the time too much time too, because I could have hired people in smarter than me and not worried about it, but I didn't know that either.
Right.
So I grew that thing, and the rental company comes to me like, hey bro, you have 2/3 of our rental fleet for the whole city of Kansas City. Like, you need to lease some trucks. Well, I don't want to lease trucks. Like, I like being agile. This market's kind of funky. We're still doing broker, which is like basically a stock market for trucking. You get the price of the day. Yeah. And the price of the day was moving a lot. I'm like, I don't know. And they gave me a deal I couldn't refuse. It was going to save me like $8,000 a month in cash flow. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, well, we've had it, so at least 10 of them, of the 16 or so we had, 18 trucks or something we had running. So I still hedged, right? But the market tanked, and this is where I was ignorant. I didn't realize they could do a tank, like a 30% overnight. Like, every broker got together and had a meeting and said, tomorrow, just don't pay the trucker driver anything. You know what I mean?
Wow.
No idea this could happen.
Whoa.
And so we, of course, had some customer things because
of that. Now you couldn't like just turn those in.
Correct. Correct. So I toughed it out for a while, and I burned up cash, and I borrowed from SBA, and I burned up some of that money. And, and to be clear, personally, I lived in a $125,000 home. We did very little travel. I was very frugal at this point, because, I'm definitely willing to delay gratification to make sure I stand up correctly. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't build any wealth, which was dumb. Should have, but I didn't. And there's plenty of opportunity too, but I just rolled it all back in because I was trying to build the wealth in the thing. Yeah. And, I end up in a place where I go to a leasing company and I say, hey, I'm transparent with them. Like, look, this is I told you this is a bad idea. I did not manifest this on purpose, because I really believe it would be fine doing half the trucks or less, a little over half the trucks. Yeah. I'm going to need to turn some of these in now. I've always turned the rentals in a little over time over this like 6-month period, and they do it. They're willing to do it. So they sign me off of half the trucks, and they let me I keep 5 of 11, or 6 of 11 or something like that. Transparency, again, that's going to be a common theme in this conversation. It's key. It unlocks so much, because if we don't give transparency, we rely on their perspective, and their perspective is derived from their interaction with you and then all of their interaction or what they've just happened to hear about the subject matter in which you're talking or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all they have, right?
Mhm.
Like transparency gives perspective. Perspective gives clarity, all the
Mhm.
things, right? Because every single brain is different. Everybody's experiences are different.
Yep.
Some people are better at limiting limiting their limited beliefs and being open to stuff. Most people already have a decision made, and they're in their drunken data that gave it to them, right? Or lack of good data,
Yeah.
that gave it to them. So I've never really known how to say that until recently because of like scientific things that are coming out to prove some stuff. But
Yeah.
I've always felt that way. It's like, why would you not just say all the things?
Yeah.
Like it's what anything that could go, and the things you can't promise, like give a window, give a general, give something.
Yeah. So what happens next in this? I want to hear like
So
now you're
they know
transparent.
I'm
You
in
got
trouble.
they took some of the trucks back. What happens next?
They know I'm in trouble. At this point, we had just hired somebody to help us come in and kind of manage and run the office, so that I wasn't doing it, to get that hat off of me. This person was a rock star. Came from humble beginnings, nothing really, but came in and willing to really handle it and work. And that helped a ton. But at this point, I was burned out.
Yeah.
To be like at this, because I did this super scale thing for me, not knowing how to do any of it and having to figure it all out as I go. And it really wore me out. I was willing to put the hours in, but I didn't understand the damage, had panic attacks, that kind of stuff, and really had to simmer down. I was thinking of how to shut the rest of the trucks down, because the leasing company would not take the rest. They did tell me that.
Yeah.
Not without penalty. And so I decided what it came to, just long story short, is if I take the things I knew were working in the business, which was these yard services, which is what I knew I wanted to do the whole time.
Right.
I wanted to keep that. I could let someone else own it. I could file bankruptcy on the lease lawsuit, right, for the remainder of the lease. And then just after a couple of years, earn that opportunity back with that situation, right? And so that was the legal sleight of hand way that was shown to me to if you want to keep going and you want to enable yourself to keep going, this is how you play it. Well, I chose that person that I'd hired now a year ago, that was a rock star, to be the holder, and offered way more than they'd ever earned by a lot. And everybody around me supported this decision, because it was kind of scary, right, to put that in someone's hands 100%. But
sounds so scary. Go ahead.
it was scary. It was like 250, 290-ish K a year, ARR, easy, automated revenue, basically. So it wasn't wildly large, but it was definitely a hell of a
lot of effort and a lot of work went into building that, though. So that's not, it's hard to duplicate. Go ahead.
Yes. So that did not turn out well. Well, it did turn out well. That did not go well. She goes to accountant for time she's holding, and tells accountant that she owns this company, she needs to have taxes done, and that she's going to sell it to me or to someone, and sell it to me for the amount I was going to give her, which was not a sell it to me, because I gave her the thing for zero to get to start, right?
Yeah.
Sell it. So it was a thank you end payment to get it back out of just appreciation that was owed. Accountant brain heard it, and her cousin, this accountant was her cousin, heard sell it and saw the amount and said, no, you're not. You're not going to, this is not going for that money ever. I'm going to make sure you don't make that decision. This guy's in your head. Because she didn't explain how she got it. Transparency.
Yeah.
She didn't give the back. So it spun her out. Because she, again, background, intellect, it wasn't for so she would run it. It was just so she would hold it. And I was just trying to bless her, because she blessed me for that year. Yeah. And ends up having her brother go to my two clients. One of them is one of the biggest private companies in US, and the other one is at that point like a $2 or $3 billion family-owned trucking situation. And she sends her brother into my client to say that I've been fired and I'm no longer insured to do the trucks or do anything like that, and basically trying to hostily take it over.
Whoa.
Okay, I don't know this is happening.
Wow.
Now, let me tell you that if you're going to make a clip out of this thing right now, any kind of clip, this is the freaking story for transparency. I had told both clients that I was going bankrupt and that everything was going to happen.
Yep.
I needed to change entity, obviously, in the contracts and stuff. And I could have just told them we're changing entities. But I told them the truth because I did not want them to hear it and then create, again, I didn't know how to word this back then, but I didn't want them to hear it and create their own perception that then I have to fight for forever and prove otherwise.
Right.
That's what our brains do all the time. Is we try to reason to the rational conclusion and just download it as a belief and move on. Dangerous behavior, but it's normal. So, in that situation, because I had told them that, they knew that was a hostile takeover. You want to talk about an outcome? It's almost emotional, like an outcome I never would have thought would come from that transparency. Is this right here? Old boy just tells the guy, if Blake's the only person we like, he's the reason we use you, is we trust him and he does good work. And if he's gone, you're gone. So you might as well take your truck and go. Now. And matter of fact, don't come back here. Like you're not allowed to come back here. This is insane. I know what you're doing. So I got the phone call from the customer and they told me what was happening. And so I was able to get over to the bigger customer, who, by the way, had agreed to still work with us, even though we went to way smaller than their threshold of too small of a company to work with at their size. Way smaller. We were barely at their threshold, and then we went down, so I think it's 20 and we were at 3.
Wow.
Okay. So I go to them and I'm like, listen, have you watched the Jerry Springer show lately? That's the first thing I said, because it is the Jerry Springer show at this point. It's like, what is happening right now? This can't be real. That no matter how much logic I try to put back at this belief that the accountant has given her, I can't. So now I'm frantically trying to create a new entity out of nowhere. My parents mortgaged their home so I can have the startup capital to have these clients now move to my entity, and because she will have all the cash.
Yeah.
250K or so, ironically, was also sitting in there in cash. And if she doesn't give it up, like, we need cash. And if I know she ain't gonna give it up right now. And so I got to get this going. And so, listen, we go through a process where one client is paying us and the other, this is a shared service thing where this whole concept came from. Like it was for like 6 months. It was like that because mega company takes 6 months to change the agreement.
Yeah.
So they just kept taking the money and not giving it to us. And so they paid half the payroll. Like,
wow.
Woo! Let me tell you something. That will build resiliency. That was not easy, and I did not perform perfect. In those times, I was getting, I was getting a hefty salary from her company that she never did take away, thank God. And so I was doing a lot of nothing, which I should be doing. I should have been doing a lot more. And I was, I leaned on some substance situation to get through that in those days, 10 years ago. I didn't make all the right decisions. However, what I did do after consuming the substances is I consumed a wild amount of YouTube University on all the things and began to change everything on accident. And I became addicted to that. So I just took that downtime after the bankruptcy while I thought, and again, my limited belief on capital, that I had to wait to be bankable again to be in this high capex trucking industry.
Yeah.
Right. Stupid. And this whole time I've had this share idea. As a matter of fact, the thing that was transition that I kept was these two were sharing this service, which again is what we built is going to, or what we're building is going to do.
Yeah.
So, had all this going in my head, but just, two just emotionally just slapped around at that point to to successfully like figure out how to fulfill it. So then once I get free of that, it all comes back over. Then I start to grow the trucking side again.
Yeah.
Based on opportunity, not chasing it, but
of course.
Again, I'm like, man, I am this like humans are creatures of habit nonsense. What am I doing? But it's working because it's right after COVID and the market is hot. It's like 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5. So I know this is a temporary gig. So we rent trucks to get in it temporarily, right?
You learned your lesson on that one, huh?
Yeah, I did.
There is nothing they could give you the truck. You are not leasing, renting, no. Right. This is not forever. I learned my lesson off of what you said from this one, and I'm not even in the trucking business.
All I'm saying, listen, I've rented the trucks until I could earn the cash to buy them with cash. And trucks were high because they were in high demand because because of the rates.
For sure.
So did that, and then it stayed high for a while, like way longer than anybody thought it would. We thought we were just refilling the toilet paper warehouses, but it stayed high for a good year, and then it started to trickle, and then it hit a cliff in March of 2022. And at that point, we had gotten in a little bit more. We paid a little bit too much for the last couple trucks, but we knew we hedged by putting. What we did is we ended up when the prices inflated so much, it's ended up putting cash down to what their real value is in real life, what their average normal value is, being the loan, to try to hedge against our equity drop, or being upside down. And so, playing again, just like these are such small lessons. I'm going into too much detail for this. I want to give bigger lessons on stuff. At that point, the market drops. We hit a recession. Now it's survive. The companies are going out of business like crazy, and so we're just like, okay, the supply is dwindling. So the demand, it'll flip soon. It'll flip. 18 months, longest downturn in trucking, usually in measured time, last 40 years or so. It's like 6 to 18 months. This one ended up lasting, some would argue, 3.5 years.
Wow.
So I sat in it, and here's why. So, and these are current lessons. So this is like, now we're kind of getting into current time where, in 2023, a study came out, or 2024, a study came out from ATRI, the American Trucking Research Institute. They did study on electronic logging device GPS data. So where trucks actually are and how long they're there, within feet, right? Really good data. And what they found was that 30% of every single over-the-road long-haul truck driver's day is unused on average. Their availability to drive. So they're allowed to drive 11 in 14 window, 11 hours in a 14-hour window, and they're only hitting 6.5, 7 hours. Then MIT does a study, and they find the same thing. They actually find it a little bit worse. 6.5 is the average. The other one, I think, is 7 point something. So I immediately go to, this is because we have this the opposite way we do things than the thing we've been talking about is efficient, right? We have the thing we do that when we don't drop and hook is so bad that this data is that. Because this data, this data does not include the arena that does the good thing. So
for sure.
So when I heard that, I was like, okay, forget about this. I'm going to start figuring out how to freaking just figure that out. Come on. Because in 2015, Uber Freight gets in. And, I'm thinking, okay, this idea could be something they could do. I just couldn't wait to use it. I didn't know they would or think they would. I just kind of, but I was just too busy doing the other stuff to be real than trying to focus on this. So when I saw that study, that's when it's like, okay, game over. I'm going to work myself out of this job as soon as possible, get all my leaders to lead, and then start going and learning how to do a technology company because I don't know how to do it. So I go to the local thing and I get scholarships to these little university classes, teach you how to be a tech company and how to raise money and how cap tables work and all things. I have no freaking clue how venture works, no clue. So this starts to open my eyes on that game. This is just in 23, late 23, early 24. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I didn't even think about, like, rich people don't only buy things to show people how rich they are. Like they probably need other places to put that money. It's so dumb, right? Again, just limited because I'm just in my tunnel trying to learn how to be a founder and be a good one, and become a better leader and all the things. So I start to learn that, and fast forward, that year goes by. The idea is I'm going to this tech thing with the idea, saying, how do I do it for this? And then I learned about a little $20,000 grant you could pitch for in that same university's group into entrepreneur low accelerator office. And 33 people pitch, and 3 people get it, and I was one of them. And I only made it like 60% through the pitch, but again, the concept has logic, really easy and quick. So they picked us, and so we got the MVP developed. That was a process that a lot of red tape because of the grant and all the things, and just again, like when you're going to do something like this, you want to be able to put all your stuff in it. And I'm still the final pieces of working myself out of the job at the company, or the current company, and all that. And it takes a lot to get to a place where you're at peace with everything, even the bad things. Oh man, if I'd have been in there, I could have stopped that bad thing. Getting through that stuff is all a decision. Just saying, look, it's going to happen. It's going to, like, at some point you're going to be forced out of it. Why not build your way out of it and try to create a thing that will be lasting? So that takes time, of course. And so, I'm at this point, I'm now learning the whole go where they are concept. If you're raising money, go where they are. Go to conferences, go to the places where investors go see things, and go try to bump into them and all the things. I don't know any of this. Blue collar trucking, like, I don't know any of this stuff. I'm not aware of. I've never taken a marketing class in my life. I don't know any of it. But YouTube University, it literally got me here. Finding credible people, vetting them, and then starting to consume their stuff to learn. It's been very valuable. So go where they are. Find a way to be memorable. To Mission Matters, I wear purple shoes. Purple's been my favorite color. Purple's not in trucking. We need a brand color for this, and I figured it works for logic and for those reasons. And just doing stuff that's way out of my element. Like, I'm not trying to be the one that everybody sees in a room. A purple freaking blazer, Barney purple. This right here, it does definitely get. But I do need that if I'm going to these rooms. Nobody knows me yet. Right? I need the ones who are like, hey, nice jacket, or what in the world is this, or because it has a mascot on the back and everything. It's got the NoDwell mascot on the back and all that. Just again, to just start. So I'm building relationships and learning that networking is so important, and learning that mentors there's people out there that want to mentor. Limited belief, like shedding all these limited beliefs. So finding all these mentors.
And next, and so Blake, so we're going to bring you, I think this is a good stopping point for this particular interview, because next, I know we're going to be bringing you back on later in the year for part 2 of 2. And I don't want to glance over the actual story behind what you're building now, because I also know that you have some updates that maybe aren't completely live yet, but they might be live in the near future. So this is a good breaking point. Let's call this episode, or part 1 of 2. But final question on my end is, if people want to follow up, if they want to connect, if they want to follow your journey, whether it's on social or otherwise, like how do they do that? How do they connect?
Like right now, just a few quick things to tie up what we're working with right now is we are raising capital to do the thing we're about to explain in the next episode. And there's other ways we can explain it for sure. So if you're interested in how we're kind of unlocking this inefficiency, please reach out, either in just operational knowledge to help us gain, build it better, all the way down to helping us turn your dollars into more dollars. And we are very forward on AI implementation, AI uses with agents inside of our current workflow. So if anybody wants a little bit of help on that, this is kind of the time on Mission Mattering. I feel like spreading the word of what everybody's capable of in this AI situation, because of its tsunami effect on humanity, is really, really important. So I'm happy to take some time and just kind of help people just get the general principle quick to get the discomfort shed, or the limited belief shed on what it can and can't do and why it's important. I'm here for that, for real. So anyway, find me on LinkedIn is the best spot. Just Blake Lappan, Lappan, or it's Blake L. period, I think, on LinkedIn. NoDwell is the company, and the concept that we have a pilot on and are building 2 more pilots, and we're in discussions to get some investment for that. So it's really exciting.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about that on any level as an operator for your facility, or again for that turning dollars thing, we can help with that too.
Fantastic. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can just click on the links and head right on over and connect with Blake. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Blake, man, you warmed us up with episode 1. I can't wait to episode 2. Appreciate you coming on.
Hope people like the story. But yes, have a great one. Appreciate you, buddy. Have a good one.